Hello and welcome to the Shuffle Play On project. My name is Danielle Langua. I'm fascinated by our everyday relationships with art and media, but mostly I want people to give me music recommendations. I want it on my own selfish terms, though. So you see, when I listen to music, I tend to hit shuffle and listen to anything and everything I have rather than specific playlists or albums. So the guests here will do the same, sharing and discussing the first 7 songs that come up on Shuffle Play. Here's a caveat. I'm not going to play the songs for everyone to hear because I don't want the copyright police to come after me. However, I will put song information in the show notes, so feel free to check that out. Let's get into it. Today's guest is Kevin. Kevin, can you please introduce yourself and how we know each other?
Hi. Obviously, I'm Kevin. She said that already. Her younger brother's best friend, and we were in the same house for quite a bit of time growing up.
Yes, you definitely became kind of an adopted sibling
Yes,
to me. Was often referred to as the best brother in my family. He's the fifth
because
child.
because that's correct. Those are just facts.
Indeed. All right. So, can you tell me a little bit about how you listen to music? Like when, where, what platforms you use, maybe some information about the artists and genres you enjoy, whatever you think is relevant.
Growing up, it was just gospel music and country music, and then I got very tired of that very quickly. But there was really no other options
Mm.
until I was given my first smartphone. I think it was. And then that was Pandora from there, and that kind of opened all kinds of doors.
Yeah, and that's you still use Pandora, correct?
Yes, I've been using it since I was 13 years old.
I know because I've been in a car with you.
Yes.
I used to use it myself. I actually ended up switching over to Spotify, but that was because I think it worked better with how I personally listen to music.
Mm,
However, what I really like about Pandora is that it very much just plays whatever, and it's more similar to radio, I think, in the sense
yes.
that you don't really select things. And the only reason I ended up really switching over to Spotify is sometimes I fixate on songs and I have to listen to them on a repeat for 24 hours in a day and then never listen to them again.
Yes. This is amazing until it's not.
Yeah, and I know you growing up and listening to only like gospel and country music is something that's actually a common shared experience for a lot of people, especially people kind of from like Texas, where we have spent a lot of our time. You are from there, and I am kind of a transplant. I wasn't born there, but my dad was from there, and we moved there when we were in high school, and that, of course, was where that school system, of course, was where you met and became really good friends with my brother. In fact, both of my brothers, really, you were really close with both of them before. I vaguely remember them talking about you, and you were the manager of their soccer team. That's
Correct.
how I remembered you for a very long time.
Yes.
So it's cool that you get access, and when you get access to things that can be like a whole new world, it almost reminds me of like for you, instead of opening a book and it's like, oh, for you instead it's a smartphone and it's a music app.
Yes. Yes. Very much so. Just before the smartphone and Pandora and everything, my uncle was like, I very clearly remember him sitting in my grandmother's computer room, burning songs to CDs,
Oh, I remember doing that.
just to date everything just a little bit. And I believe the first song that I heard that wasn't gospel or country or anything, it was either Iron Man by Black Sabbath or
Hell yeah.
ACDC's Thunderstruck.
I mean, you can't go wrong with those. That's a hell of an introduction.
Those are just the gateway drugs, so to speak.
But you're super into movies. Was that
Yes.
something that you did not have experience with until you were 13? Or because there's a lot of music in movies.
So movies was every other
Because
weekend.
you worked at a movie theater. It's worth noting that when
Yes,
we
yes. I did work at a movie theater for, I think it was 4 months until I convinced my mom that I needed to quit because soccer season was started.
Oh yeah.
Not because I could afford a PS4 when those came
Okay. See, I remember you working in the movie theater for some reason. I thought you worked there
out.
for a
Yes.
long time.
Yeah, it was just the 4 months. It was just long enough to afford a one of the flat screen TVs and a PS4 with an extra controller for my brother.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you a couple more questions about your music experience. So
Mm.
we were just talking about like movies and things like that. So is there a particular musical moment in a video game or a movie or a TV show that has really stuck with you?
I'm going to say this one, and because I've played this over and over and over and over and over again because it was the only game that we had, I feel like this one is for a lot of people. The
Hmm.
Halo 2 bridge mission had just the
Mm.
score in the background that was very, very strong. Let's put it that way.
I know that the Halo 2 score, or a lot of the Halo scores, I feel like I've heard them so frequently.
Well, I believe when it was released, Halo 2, the soundtrack for it anyway, was
Hmm.
in competition for best video game soundtrack ever, if not won that
That I
contest.
believe. That
Right.
100% I believe. I'm also thinking of I went to a gaming conference a couple of months ago because that's my like research area, and I was in a talk that a guy was giving. He was a sound designer, and he had this whole. He was talking to us about like how to effectively design sound in video games, and one of the examples he used as like the pinnacle of sound design was, I believe it was I don't, did you ever play I think it was Modern Warfare games? Because I didn't play them.
Yes. Yes.
It's a mission where you're on a snowmobile.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking
I
about?
know
I'll
exactly
have
what
to
you're
look
talking
it up. But he showed us like essentially a video of that entire sequence. And from a sound design perspective, and just from a design perspective, period,
about.
it's incredible. It's
Yes.
so well designed.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I definitely think that's something that's often really important in video games is the sound design, the musical score, things like that. I recently played a game called Potionomics, and the music in Potionomics is so great. It's phenomenal. The best song is the Cat Pirate song. It's so good. Oh, I 100% recommend that game. It's really cute and fun, but my I think my ultimate favorite part of that game is the music. So I have another question for you here, and that is, do you play any instruments?
Oh God, no. Oh no. I was so bad at growing up. There was this like summer school thing that my mom tried to send me to at Lone Star College,
Oh God.
and it's so bad. And it was some like I'm gonna say hobo because that's how I remember him. But the teacher was this very long-haired individual who I don't know, didn't remind me of a teacher when I walked in.
Yeah, you it's a very conservative environment. So you walk in and see some of those like uh university instructors where they're kind of like the hippie vibes. That can be quite
Yes,
shocking.
yeah, exactly. And my mom was very, very like, you have to play guitar. I'm like,
Why?
okay, sure. So we went, so it was 2 or 3 sessions where he was trying to teach a class of like 10 people, 10 children my age, to play guitar. And it after the third one, I was like, Mom, I'm done. We're not doing this anymore. No.
So it was just something that didn't appeal to you. You didn't like it very much.
It, I don't know if it was the teacher or just the environment. One of the things that was happening there didn't gel with me, and I was like, yeah, I'm done with that.
Yeah, yeah. It's some people just don't jive with certain environments, I think.
Mm.
Like there's some classrooms I've been in, and I obviously spend a lot of my time in academia, but I have 100% been in classrooms where I'm like, oh, I hate this
This is
so
awful.
much.
Yes,
Yeah. So my
and of
next
course
question,
the
hopefully it's a little more, oh, go ahead.
let me follow up on that one right quick. The second instrument that I picked up was the trombone, and
Okay.
that was just before high school, so it was that 7th or 8th grade,
Hmm.
and
Join a ska band.
well, it was one of those where I wanted the saxophone. I went into the like pre-band thing like before school even started, and they were gonna like, oh, you're gonna do this instrument, you're gonna do this instrument, and I sat down with the director, and he goes, what instrument would you like to play? And I panicked, knowing that I wanted the saxophone, but I panicked and said trombone. And he goes, okay,
Oh
here you go. And we
no.
started with the trombone. I was like, well, we're in it now. And so for a
Oh.
full year, I played the trombone and hated every second of it.
So I don't know if you know this, but my mother played the saxophone when she was in high school. And when
Phenomenal.
I was in junior high, I decided to join the school band and learn how to play the saxophone. And I did it for a year and I hated it. So I definitely empathize with that.
I start to wonder if it's just brass instruments that suck.
Well, I mean, I think that they can be really wonderful, but they're challenging to deal with. And
Yes.
I think that for me, it was very clear to me that the instructor, the teacher that we had, really seemed to favor the clarinets, and I think it was because she herself played clarinet. And it was really kind of frustrating to be sitting towards the back, to be holding this for, a small child. I played an alto saxophone, but it's still kind of heavy. It's kind
Mhm.
of unwieldy when you're a kid. I would imagine the trombone is kind of a similar thing. It's very long, the
Yeah,
trombone. I can imagine
yeah.
that's be difficult to.
And if your arms aren't long enough, you don't hit the notes, and you are just sad.
Yeah, yeah, it's depressing. Anyway, so I guess we could move on to another question at this point. So,
Yes.
what was your favorite live music experience you've had so far?
So there's been a few, but I will have to say the most recent, which was Shinedown, that I saw with
Grind
Fuzzy and
down.
Christopher.
Yeah, Christopher. Christopher is my brother, by the way. That's one of your best friends.
Yes.
And he said that the Shinedown concert that y'all went to was the bet one of the best like live music things he's ever been to, and he's been to a lot of like EDM shows and things like that. So he's seen some really cool things, but he said that
Right.
that was one of his favorites as well. So I definitely think that you're probably not. It's not a bad choice.
He said he put it up there with his favorite, which is Porter Robinson.
Oh, I love Porter Robinson.
I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
well, that's actually ridiculously high praise coming from you.
Oh, it's extremely high praise.
Yes.
So I'm asking Kevin to share about his music, so I should probably also share myself. So I'm going to hit shuffle play on my own music library, and let's talk about what comes up for me. So it's Southern Nights by Alan Toussaint. So Alan, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name correctly, but it's Alan Toussaint is a like New Orleans pianist. He died recently, but really beautiful piano music. And of course, Southern Nights is an old song. It was sung by, was it Glen Campbell? You
Yes.
know country.
Yes. I
Southern.
just pulled it up. It was Glenn Campbell was the other one.
Yeah, that's the original version was by Glen Campbell. And so Alan Toussaint essentially it's like a cover
Mm.
of Southern Nights. And so it's just done by via piano. There's no vocals. It's just really lovely. And I love Southern Nights, the original version. So when I saw that Alan Toussaint had done, a version of it, I was like, oh hell yeah, sign me up,
Mm.
because I love his work. He's done some other covers that are really good. He does a really great cover of Tequilla, by the Champs.
Yes, fantastic.
So I definitely am a big fan of his. He also, I believe he did the song I Could Eat Crawfish Every Day. And so, of course, like as a Cajun
Applies.
person,
Hell yeah.
I
Absolutely.
adore and love very deeply. It's very Southern kind of, I mean, I would say probably like jazz, but that New Orleans jazz is so broad. There's so many different types of jazz within the New Orleans scene. So I'm
Mm.
sure that there's a more specific title for it. That's the best I have. I'm not the best when it comes to understanding genres. So I guess I'll leave it at that. But I 100% recommend Alan Toussaint. And of course, Southern Nights is great.
The very reliable Wikipedia says it is New Orleans R&B.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. That sounds like it would be correct. I'm very bad at remembering like where R&B applies and where jazz applies and like where that line is. So I usually just default to jazz.
Which I do think covers it most of the time.
Yes, that's my understanding of it as well. So I think we'll go ahead and take a pause at this point. And now we are going to move on to shuffling through Kevin's playlist. Of course, we can't just like click a button that says shuffle for Pandora because all of Pandora is a giant shuffle machine. So we're just going to have Kevin here flip through some different channels and things and tell us what comes up. And so go ahead and start out. Let us know like what channel you're coming from, as well as what the song that comes up is. That was a poorly constructed sentence.
Which I followed fairly well. The first one that comes up is Dandelion by Galantis, and
I love
think
this song.
that's Juke, but it's also JVKE.
I think it's Juke as well. I'm not sure. I'm willing to assume.
Yes, yes.
So what is the name of the like station that you're on, or the radio station, I guess?
This one, it's just the thumbprint, so it's, I guess, going
Okay.
off of what I've liked in the past.
So thumbprint should be your general shuffle. So this is the closest we would get to, in theory, a true shuffle. I thought initially that maybe we would just have you skip through the thumbprint station, but I think that you only have a certain number of skips. So I think that that may not be a great thing to force you into doing. So we'll probably skip around to some of the different stations as well. But what do you think about Dandelion? Tell me about this song. I like this song.
So this is another one that is only here because of your brother.
Yes.
He introduced me to Galantis and Porter Robinson and all of his brand of music.
He introduced me to a lot of that stuff too.
I believe that was just all of the times that he drove me home, and that just was what was playing. And I was never really opposed to it, so I'll play it every now and again.
Yeah. Just exposure. Like,
Right.
I slowly start to like something because you're exposed to it.
Yes, correct.
Now, I really like a lot of Galantis's songs. They, of course, it's EDM, and I would say with Galantis, there's an energeticness to it, whereas somebody like Porter Robinson, who we mentioned earlier, almost everything Porter Robinson does feels melancholic. Whereas I would say Galantis's music is a lot more joyful in a way. It's not like, hey, let's go crazy partying. It's good vibes, I guess.
A happy middle ground between the two.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would say so. And Galantis, the imagery that is often associated with Galantis is he does these weird, like, I think it's just a single guy, and I think it's a he. I'm not sure. But Galantis does, it's like an image of a cat, but it's always like weirdly photoshopped.
Yes.
So there's like cats with weird faces. That's Galantis. But I really like Dandelion. I think it's a great song.
Yes. Yes. If it weren't for Fall Out Boy dropping a new album in January of this year, I would be playing way more Galantis on my daily commutes.
Fair. So let me know when you want to move on to the next one, unless you have anything specific more to say about this song.
And the next one would be Light by Holo, however you pronounce that.
Light by San Holo. Fun fact, this exact same song played for my sister, Kat, in episode 1.
Amazing.
And it was one of those things where I had forgotten this song. So I said, oh, I don't know this song. And she was like, no, you absolutely know this song. I know that you know this song. And I went and listened to it afterwards, and I was like, I know this song. It's a great song.
Yes. And this is another inclusion by exposure.
Exposure to my brother. Yes. I really need to get Christopher on this podcast, because so far he has made an awful huge impact on it.
I'm sure.
But San Holo, Light is another EDM song. It's, I would say, maybe a little bit slower. This particular song is, I wouldn't call it sad, but it's a little bit more of a slow beat.
Yeah.
It's almost like a child singing. The song almost sounds like a child is singing it.
I don't think sad is the right word for it either, but it's close to.
Innocent, childlike. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Thoughtful, perhaps. So go ahead and move on when you're ready.
I think I'm going to swap to a different channel, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, for sure. So just let us know what the channel is.
We'll switch to Fall Out Boy Radio, since that has come up multiple times already.
You are a big fan of Fall Out Boy.
Yes. So the first one that pops up is Fakeout, obviously Fall Out Boy.
Okay.
This is one of their newer ones from the album, again, from January. And so the commute to work is exactly 32 minutes from my door to the office door. And in that time, if I skip specific songs in that album, I can listen to the entire thing on the way to work.
Cool. So it's like you get to a whole experience.
Right. And this is one that I absolutely do not skip. I love this song so much.
Okay, tell me about it. I don't know it.
Well, they don't have lyrics on Pandora yet. So
Sucks for you.
it's mostly just, it's very hard to explain that one. Hold on. Let's see if I can get.
So it looks like, yeah, it was released in 2023. The name of the album is So Much for Stardust. Oh, I found some lyrics. Okay. I do love some out of context lyrics. Take a knife and cut through the darkness. Stuff about red wine. I make no plans and none can be broken. No plans and none can be broken. I'm enjoying just reading these like a robot.
Yes, because it takes it to a completely different place than the song takes it to.
See, this is what you get for not having anything to say about it.
Yeah.
This is your fault. I'm blaming you. I mean, it keeps saying things like love is in the air. So would you classify it as a love song?
Most of this album is I did love once, but I'm learning to get okay with not loving anymore.
Okay. That's interesting.
This particular one is more of a yeah, I'm fine for sure. It's definitely not a fake out.
Yeah, I saw something about therapy in the lyrics.
Yes. What was it? Do you laugh about me whenever I leave, or do I just need more therapy?
Oof.
Oof. The next one that came up was Dirty Little Secret by the All American Rejects.
I know this song. I had a friend who gave me a mixed CD with this song on it once. But that was many years ago.
I believe this is the early 2000s, and it was on every radio.
Yes, I believe so. I would say that this probably came out in like 2003, 2004. Let me look it up. I have the Google. Let's see here. It says, oh, it's on the Move Along album. I remember that.
Yes.
2005. So I was a little early, but yeah, it looks like it came out in 2005.
Coincidentally, speaking of Move Along, I was at a church function we were planning Sunday school or something or another, and they were asking for a song about letting go of your mistakes or moving on from mistakes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I suggested Move Along by the All American Rejects, and I got laughed out of the room because you can't sing that in a church setting.
Silly nonsense. Well, and also to be fair, I mean, I haven't heard that song in many years. I'm sure there's probably stuff in it that people in a church-going mood might reject too.
Yes.
You know, All American Rejects, rejecting.
Yes. Yes.
Har, har, har. Ha, ha, ha.
Yes.
I'm hilarious.
And let's you want to jump to the next one?
Yeah, for sure.
Don't Threaten Me with a Good Time. Panic at the Disco.
Oh, Panic. I don't know this particular song, I don't think.
I believe it's one of the it's off of Death of a Bachelor. It's one of the
Oh, yeah.
But so just harkening back to Fall Out Boy, are you familiar with how Panic at the Disco started?
Actually, no.
Okay.
I like some of their songs, but I don't know a whole lot about. I tend to not know very much about the actual musicians themselves, unless I have like a weird historical interest in them, like an Eartha Kitt or something.
This is one of my favorite stories to come out of music as
Mm-hmm.
a whole. Pete Wentz of Fall Out Boy
Mm-hmm.
stopped producing with Fall Out Boy for a little bit and wanted to make his own record label. The first
Mm-hmm.
record that he signs is with Brendan Urie of Panic at the Disco,
Mm-hmm.
hence starting Panic at the Disco. Fast forward to early 2023, Fall Out Boy puts out the first two songs of their album, which are just amazing. And the running joke was that they were so good that Panic at the Disco announced, which at this point is just Brendan Urie, announced that they were no longer a thing. They were done.
Okay.
So the joke that kept getting fed to me by internet was Pete Wentz began and ended Panic at the Disco's career.
Oh, see, that's good. That's funny.
Yes, I did quite enjoy that. It did get a bit repetitive, but it's fine.
There are a lot of jokes on the internet that have gone on for a really long time. And sometimes they're really, really annoying and then they circle around to being funny again.
Yes, yes, yes. A lot of them in regards to a certain submersible that is going around recently.
We're dating ourselves here. For context, it is currently June 24th of 2023. And there is a submersible that has just imploded as of the last few days. For whoever is listening to this at some undefined time in the future.
Is the days since the last injury on the Titanic had to be reset.
I have to tell you, those memes are still funny to me. Like
There's
that's,
part of me wants to not laugh because
I mean, death is always sad,
right, but also
but dumb ways to die. You know the song.
yes, yes. And then popping after that would be kind of dipping back into Fuzzy's influence on my music taste. Is
Fuzzy, another friend. He was a university friend of my other brother, Eddie.
hmm,
So Eddie, Fuzzy, and myself all went to the same university to get our bachelor's degrees.
the song being "Prayer of the Refugee" by Rise Against.
I don't know this one, but
Um,
it sounds cool.
you can't ask me anything about the lyrics. It's just a I'm bopping my head. I like this song.
Yeah, I feel like that's most of how I consume music. I had a whole discussion with Rachel about this. She was on episode 2, and we were talking about how a lot of times we don't even really listen super closely to the lyrics. And then suddenly you find out later, like, oh, that's what that song is about.
That says what now? Yes.
That's what? What happened?
Yeah, we weren't singing that at all. No, no, no.
Let me know when you're ready to move on, unless you have something else to say.
Um, my songs know what you did in the dark. Another Fall Out Boy song.
Okay. I know this one.
Coincidentally, I believe this was the first song that I ever heard of Fall Out Boy. And I was like, what
Really?
is yeah. And I remember very clearly skipping it. And then like the around school, everybody's like, "Oh, you listen to Fall Out Boy?" And I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess I can't listen to that." And
Uh,
then I think I don't remember what the next one was, but I heard another song and I was like, "Okay, but somebody had to have lied somewhere." And it kind of turned into the Nickelback situation.
hmm. Yeah, I keep forgetting how much younger than me you are, because this song was released in 2013, and so for me, I'm like, oh, I remember that song. I feel like that was at a time where Fall Out Boy was starting to like not be as popular as it once was, or something. I don't remember exactly. I remember a lot of their older stuff before that because, or at least I think it was stuff before that because I don't even remember time that well. But yeah, it's interesting how things kind of are unpopular and then they become popular again. And everything is like kind of on a cycle. Like even Nickelback, a lot of people are going back and going, "Oh, I actually like that." And then of course there's me as a person who has never been a huge fan of Nickelback and is just kind of like, okay.
So we're talking about Nickelback again, right? Just
Yeah, it's
going
just
in
like
circles. Yes.
I mean, I'll make the joke of the fact that I think they're not very good, but like I'm not terribly married to it. But yeah, that was 2013, so that was like one of their later albums or more recent, I guess, ish albums, 10 years ago. Oh my God. But I was in university and I do remember a lot of people who were big fans of Fall Out Boy were starting to not like the direction that their music was going in. I
I
actually think that My Songs Know What You Did in the Dark is fine. It's a
yes.
song I've heard before. I think I have it saved on my own Spotify. So
The that album, Save Rock and Roll, the music videos for them, they're all connected. They all kind of tell a story, kind of.
mhm.
It's more supposed to be played like a movie that makes absolutely no sense. Which the last one on that album, I believe, is the one with Elton John.
I do love a good Elton John moment on an album.
And dude, when I tell you that music video is just completely off the rails,
Oh, I'm sure it is, knowing Elton John.
it's I want to say Elton John was like an angel or God or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
the band, the members of the band had broken into heaven and were just killing everything.
Yeah, that sounds like Fall Out Boy in the 2010s.
And it was just buckets of was supposed to be blood, but clearly red dye, and they're just all over the place. I believe it ends with just two buckets just splashing on Elton John, and I'm like, good lord, what is this? What am I watching?
I mean, that's what a lot of music videos are like.
Oh yes.
So that's our list of 7 songs from you. So I have a couple of questions I would like to ask you as we go on. So first of all, does this playlist of 7 songs accurately represent your general musical preferences?
Yeah, I'd say so. That about covers it.
No, nothing else. Yeah.
That's about me. Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
Of the 7 songs, which one is your ultimate recommendation? Which one should everybody listen to?
So I want to say Fake Out only because that entire album has brightened my mood for this year, I'd say.
Okay, that's fine. Actually, Rachel ended up giving us both an individual song that she liked as well as recommending one of the albums that was associated. So would you say just the Fake Out song or the album or both?
I'd say So Much for Stardust, the album, and then as far as individual songs, Dandelion, because I don't think that one gets enough recognition.
I like Dandelion too, so that's a good choice to me. That should be pretty much it. Thank you for listening to the Shuffle Play On project, and thank you to Kevin for agreeing to come on. Do you have anything you would like to add, Kevin?
Oh, no, just thanks for having me on.
Oh, I appreciate it. I was very excited when you agreed because I know for a fact you and I have talked about music many times before.
Yes.
So in conclusion, I'll go ahead and say that I started this project because I wanted music recommendations, of course, but also because I wanted to do something fun that helped me connect with other people. My goal with this project is to create and post 12 or more episodes over the course of 1 year. If you have feedback or want to contact me for other reasons, please go to danielleklangois.com, DanielleKlanglOIS.com for contact info and social media accounts, or you could leave a comment/review on whatever platform you're listening on. I hope you have a great day. And just another note here. I've been getting some really amazing feedback from people. And one of the things I was told was that I should start a playlist that people can have. So I have attached, or I'm going to put in the show notes some kind of information about a playlist that you can listen to probably on Spotify if I am able to execute that properly. If not, there'll just be nothing in the show notes except for the regular notes. So I think with that, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. Thank you again to Kevin, and I hope you have a really great day.